Hello and welcome to another episode of the AAIM High Podcast. Today's guests are brothers and co-founders of The Plug drink, Justin and Ray Kim. The Plug is a plant-based recovery drink designed to support liver health and help people recover faster. In 2024, for the list of fast-growing private U.S. companies, it ranked 11th in LA and 6th for food and beverage. Since launching, The Plug has made waves in the beverage industry. It has secured investments from names like Jack Harlow and Myles Turner. The drink is now available across the country and has built a strong following. Justin and Ray have not only created a project that stands out in a highly competitive market, but have also leveraged their Korean heritage to bring traditional herbal ingredients into the modern wellness space. Their journey from idea to nationwide expansion is an inspiring story of innovation. I'm excited to talk about their backgrounds, the challenges of building a beverage brand, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Justin and Ray, welcome to the AAIM High Podcast.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for having us.
So to start off, because this podcast is centered around being an Asian American leader in business, it is first important to understand each guest's childhood and upbringing as an Asian American, especially ideas instilled within you from your parents and environment. Many of these ideas and moments when you were younger may have helped you become successful in where you are today. So could you guys maybe explain your childhood situation growing up, where, siblings, and what were family dynamics like?
I'll let Justin, the little bro, go first.
Yeah, so we were both born and raised out in the Valley in Los Angeles in Calabasas. Obviously, he's my older brother. We also have a younger sister. And growing up, I would say we lived in a predominantly white neighborhood. So a lot of our friends were non-Asian friends. And I think that kind of helped us get out of the comfort zone. But at the same time, during that time too, we realized that we had a lot of differences from a lot of the white Americans that were growing up next to us. Simple differences such as the lunch that I was packing to school, the dinner I was eating and whatnot. And, being growing up in a Korean family too, there's obviously Korean traditions that we have that a lot of Americans don't celebrate and whatnot too. So that, and then I would say another thing is that we were very family oriented. So we always had dinner with our parents every single night, and we did everything together. So me and my sister, me and my sister and my brother would always play a lot of games, whether it's sports games or even board games. And a lot of times, since it was my younger sister and myself, it would be like me and my sister teamed up, and then my brother would be the other team, where it would be us two against him. So that was a lot of our family dynamic growing up. And we were all very close. We were very active as well. We loved playing sports and whatnot. And I think that kind of shaped and molded us to how we are today, because to be honest, growing up not with a lot of Asians, we still instilled our Korean heritage from our parents.
Kind of piggybacking off of what my brother said is, I think the biggest thing that was still instilled in us as Korean Americans is our identity, right? Both of our parents are immigrants from Seoul, South Korea. So we're not first generation, we're like 1.5 as they like to call it. So it was, still seeing that work ethic. Our dad would leave very early in the morning and he would come back at dinner time. He never missed a baseball game. Although on the practice side, it was a team effort looking back. Our mom, she gave up her career as a fashion designer to raise all three of us. So she was juggling all of us. I don't know how she did it, since we're very similar ages as they were now. When they had us. But, I would say overall it was great kind of on the upbringing side, where my brother, myself, and our little sister, we would all bond over sports, right? Mm-hmm. So we were playing basketball, hockey, baseball, and it was a fun childhood, but they would gang up on me a little bit. I think I did definitely have the upper hand, I think, because physically I was a little bigger. It was a very even match. It was a lot of tight games that we played, and at the same time still having that kind of Korean culture around at dinner table. And I'm sure there's a lot of other immigrant families, not just Asians, in general, where the parents are speak to them in a different language, and we respond in English, right? So
Mm.
we kind of had that dynamic too, and we still do. Yeah, that was kind of, I would say, our upbringing, growing up in a predominantly non-Asian community,
Hmm.
but still keeping our roots as well.
Yeah. And how did your parents' experience influence your perspective on work and especially success?
Our parents, both of them worked very hard, whether it was taking care of us or outside of work. And I think that indirectly and directly affected us to make us who we are today as entrepreneurs,
Mm.
or just as individuals, right, in society. Always having respect and manners and etiquette. There are certain things that, we learned that come to us naturally that might not come naturally to another person that maybe didn't have that guidance. So we're very thankful for that. And I would say another thing for us is, every Sunday, we grew up in a Catholic family. So, my brother and I are altar boys here. So we would have to go to church. That's where, with our extended family, our aunts and uncles, our grandparents, we were able to kind of see that side of growing up, right? Believing in, obviously we're Catholic and everyone has different faiths. But having that kind of structure and that other side, I think made us better people in general and overall. Um,
Mm.
Then I would also say kind of the work ethic. Since we grew up in Calabasas, he had to drive all the way past downtown LA every single day into Vernon. And so during rush hour, that's close to almost a 2 hour commute one way. And
one-on-one
Jeez.
traffic right there.
yeah, so I think seeing him doing that for 20 years, just so we could live in Calabasas, and he really liked the neighborhood, the school system, and everything like that. Seeing that type of sacrifice is kind of something that I think over time we realize kind of the type of work ethic he had. And now that I look back at it too, it's like for me, I wouldn't even be able to do that. And he was close to our age during that time, and he was doing it every single day and making sure that he was home every single night for dinner. And then every single weekend, he dedicated all of his weekends to us, whether it was for sports, since me and my brother both played baseball since we were 4 years old. He'd always take us to all the games and whatnot too. So just kind of seeing that kind of push and drive from him, I think really naturally instilled in us kind of our own natural push and drive. He was never the type to kind of force us to do something or anything like that. He would just kind of mention to us, people have ceilings in life, and if this is what you're comfortable doing, or if you're not comfortable doing that, that's okay. It's entirely up to you. But at the end of the day, everyone lives their own individual life. So I think little things like that has really kind of transformed us into who we are today as well.
Hmm. And did you feel ever any pressure to conform to certain expectations, either from your family or the broader community or at school? And if so, how did you handle that?
I think for myself, and I can speak for Justin too on this, is, I would say no. I think our growing up in an Asian household, I think our parents were a little bit more lenient in compared to the stereotypical household, right? And they kind of gave us that flexibility to think big, right?
Mm.
And I think that's why. And then besides that, I think growing up where we grew up, we're very fortunate when it comes to that upbringing. And at the same time, I mean, I think I can speak for Justin on this too, is that, we've been going against the grain our whole careers, our whole lives, starting
Mm.
from, whether it be the community or even our parents as well. It's kind of going above and beyond, and actually, ironically, representing the Korean American community in a different way through our actions, through, let's say, for example, through baseball, right? Me and Justin both playing college baseball, right? That's not normal for a Korean American growing up. But then also, even now, boiling it all the way today as Korean American entrepreneurs, there's not many of us out there. So especially in food and beverage in America.
Mm.
So I think kind of that is something that I think, we didn't really conform to, our people that we got influenced around, or even what our parents maybe expected of us, or a typical Asian household would expect.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of what I would say in terms of for both of us.
And when you guys were kids, was there any like an entrepreneurial spirit that maybe you didn't realize at the time, but could have maybe led to your future career path?
I would say growing up, we like our dad was a serial entrepreneur. So for us, like that was kind of what I wanted to be at the end of the
Mm.
day. And I think Ray as well. Just seeing kind of how he does business and whatnot and creating different companies and seeing it go from ground up, it made us want to kind of uh, be our own boss and be able to dictate where we want to kind of create the company and how we want the direction of the company to go and whatnot.
Hmm.
I'd say one thing that I found that was really funny when we were kids was that there was this new 50-cent CD that
Massacre.
launched
Massacre.
called The Massacre back in the day. And I remember Ray was busy burning the CDs and making copies of it.
This
And
is when like LimeWire, Kazaa, like that whole pirating was like big.
And so he had a stack of the CDs copied and he was trying to sell it to his friends. But right before he was trying to sell it, my mom caught him doing it in the act and told him, "You can't do that," and took it all away. Um,
She actually broke it right in front of me.
but that was kind of our first, I would say, entrepreneur kind of mindset. And then there was other times where, since our father was in clothing, we would get a lot of sample T-shirts and whatnot. And Ray would try to sell the ones that he didn't want into from his trunk of my mom's car or whatnot, and try to sell it to his friends and whatnot. So I would say those were kind of the first two kind of instances of our entrepreneur spirit. And I remember a couple other times too. Uh, Me and my brother and my sister would create kind of like we would do we did like a lemonade stand before. We also did like a dog walking service, but it wasn't really the dog walking service. It was just because we really wanted a dog at that time. So I just remember we ended up taking one of our neighbor's dog, and we didn't even really walk it. We were just playing with it the whole time. And we didn't even really ask for money. We just wanted to play with a dog. But yeah, that was kind of, I would say, our like outside the box thinking during those times. It was kind of fun.
Hmm. And now, as we move on to the education and early career part of the podcast, the Plug Drink is doing really well right now. So, to understand how you guys reached this point, let's talk about your education and how you created this project. So, first off, what was each of your college experiences like? Did either of you know what you wanted to do with your careers at that time?
Yeah, so I'll go first here. So I'm a year older than Justin. So I ended up going to the University of Chicago, and I knew I wanted to major in economics since they're pretty well known for their economics history and program.
Hmm.
And I was very fortunate that I was able to also play baseball as well on the college side. So kind of going there for me, to be honest with you, I ended up working doing investment banking in New York after, but I had no idea what that was when I first came into college. I was
Hmm.
just excited to be there. I was definitely nervous. The only kid outside of my high school in SoCal to go to Chicago at that time. So didn't really know anybody in my university except one family member, one close family friend member that actually was a year older than me, who actually were very close friends with, and he ended up becoming my fraternity brother.
Hmm.
But his family and our family both went to the same Catholic church, so we all knew each other, and so that's the only guidance I had. But I think if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have joined a fraternity as well, which
Hmm.
I'm closest friends with all of them still till this day, a decade later. So a lot of things happened, I think, organically or by chance, but I mean, I had a great time going there, and my school was very small. I believe it was roughly around 5,000 students undergrad
Hmm.
total. So having those small classrooms of like 10 to 15 people, just being there, and being able to grow at my own pace, I think helped me out. Even though deep down inside, of course, I wanted to be at a big school, even like Justin's, but I think that small school helped me become who I am today and find my own identity, confidence, and even go at my own pace in terms of learning to get to where I got to my career, and that obviously led us to where we're at today.
Hmm.
But that's kind of my perspective. But yeah.
And then on my end, I actually went my freshman year I got recruited to play college baseball as well to Wesleyan University in Connecticut, a liberal arts. I ended up tearing my shoulder twice that year, so
Jeez.
I decided to hang up my cleats, wanted to go to a bigger school at that time, and when I was transferring after my freshman year, got accepted to Northwestern. It was convenient because at that time Ray was at University of Chicago, so we would always meet up in the city. For me, when I got into college, I would say I always wanted to be just like my father, like a business owner. So I remember starting like my sophomore, junior years when I started kind of connecting the dots a little bit more. So at that time, my father had another company, which was a fruit jelly cup company that's been in Costco for about 15 years. And it was pretty well known. So what I would do is that I would introduce my father's team to my friend's family's team that owned a lot of grocery stores in the Philippines or in Korea or in the US and whatnot. And I guess that was when kind of like my first starting point of kind of doing sales and selling my father's product and whatnot.
Mm.
So for me, that was like kind of like the direction that I thought I was going. After college, I thought that I was going to be working for my father because I was making commission already and whatnot off of all the containers that I was selling. And then kind of got a rude awakening where my father was like, "You're not working for me," and I had to kind of scramble and find a job. And so I actually did headhunting first, and I did that for about a year. Then went to a Fortune 500 company, did tech consulting over there, where I was managing a team, and whatnot, and was there for about 4 years doing that. And ultimately, during those 5 years, it was a great experience in the corporate side. I learned a lot. I increased my kind of my sales mindset and everything like that. And I think after that 5 years, I was kind of ready to spread my wings. And same with my brother at that time. And that's kind of how we started this company at the end of 2019.
And that goes into my next question is like, what motivated you to start the plug drink? And was there a specific moment or experience that pushed you to take that leap or jump?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for myself, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was something that was always on my mind since day one. I enjoyed seeing what my father did. I even helped him in a lot of the Costco road shows. So I actually like saw everything front and center. I would say it was kind of tough making that leap into entrepreneurship though, because when you're at a corporate job, it's very cushy, right? You're getting paid consistently every 2 weeks, and whatnot. You kind of have a direction of what you're going to be doing or where you want to go and everything like that. You have a really good work-life balance. I remember at the time that we kind of went to a split decision, me and my brother both, is when we were already kind of formulating and making the product, but we were still working the corporate job. And I remember at that time, I actually got a really big offer from a rival competitor of my consulting firm at that time, and it would have upped my salary a lot, right? And as like a young 25, 26 year old at that time, for me, like that's kind of what enticed me.
Yeah.
And my brother too, he actually was about to spin out and create a fund with his bosses as well. So at that time, it just happened at the same time while we were about to create this product and everything like that. And I remember me and my brother were both talking, and we ended up obviously starting the company. We were talking, and the main reason why we made that leap of faith was kind of we were in our mid 20s. We didn't have wife, kids, we didn't have set expenses, and we thought to ourselves, if we don't take this jump now into entrepreneurship, we never will. Because
Mm.
when you're in your 30s or 40s, or if you have set expenses such as a wife, a kid, and whatnot, it's that much tougher at that point to make that. And for us, we were like, we're young still. If it doesn't work out, we can always re-enter the corporate world and keep going that way. But when you're older and you kind of leave the corporate world, it's a little bit tougher. I'm not saying it's impossible. It just makes the odds a little tougher on yourself,
Mm.
especially when you have set expenses. And, me and my brother have been running this company for over 5 years. We haven't taken a dollar in salary still to this day. And I'm pretty sure if you have a wife and kids at this point, and you're not bringing any dollar home for the last 5 years, I don't know if they'd both be sticking around. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say kind of going off of that, on the earlier side, when we were both right before we decided to even take the leap of faith into entrepreneurship. I know for me, yeah, like, obviously we grew up in an entrepreneurial household, but I don't think I 100%, wanted to be an entrepreneur right away. I know
Mm.
Justin 100% did. So for me, it was a little bit of a different experience since I was in the finance world and investing. And I think definitely Justin helped me out there when it comes to forming, like being a little bit more salesy, right? Seeing the bigger picture and then being your own boss, right? So I have a little funny story from early on where, my brother is the personal finance guy here. He's very to the penny, and he was really good at maximizing his budget and obviously not just wasting money when we were both in our mid 20s. Whereas I was a little bit different in terms of I was a little more curious. I like trying new products. I think sometimes I wouldn't look at the labels or the pricing too. But I think that's how I ended up, trying out one of our competitors at that time. And we were socially going out a good amount, and we liked, I would say, that lifestyle. And that's when I started using some of our competitor products just for our own personal use. And then eventually Justin found a coupon, and he was like, hey, we can save, like you can refer me and I can get a discount. So then I was like, okay, great. So then we got a discount, but it ended up being on Justin's credit card. So then he started getting charged a little bit. And then I think he came to the realization of like, why am I paying for all this when you're the one who brought this in? But around that time frame was, I remember, uh, we went out one night, and it was, I believe, a Saturday or Sunday.
Saturday.
Saturday. Woke up a little bit, not hungover, but just a little kind of. It was a late night. We woke up, and then I remember we were doing a lot of research at this time at my work, at Justin's work, outside of work too, about the herbal hangover industry and startups and how to launch a company, you name it. And then I remember I got up out of my bed and I ran straight over to my brother's room, opened it while he was sleeping, and was like, "Hey, like I have a really good idea. I think we should just create the next competitor to this company. They're all young
Mm.
guys that created the first one, had no beverage experience, and we could do a much better job on the marketing side, and we can get the strongest manufacturer through our father's network,
Mm.
uh, and we could be the lift to the Uber."
Mm-hmm.
And I think my brother was maybe half awake, and I think he said yes, and that's all I needed to hear. And then now we're here now. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a funny story.
And then what was that like process, the first few months of brainstorming the ideas and developing the product, and how do you guys come up with the core product?
Yeah, so I think the core product, we're very fortunate when we knew right away when we told our father. We had to pitch our father and make a nice deck. We pitched him numerous ideas before, only to get denied, go back to the drawing board, try to figure it out over the last decade before we launched this company. And with this idea, when we told our father we don't want another white label manufacturer. We want a really strong differentiated product. That's one thing that we
Mm.
really did want. So when we were starting to source, our father found a really good manufacturer that was differentiated and was willing to work with us on the taste, and that was big for us because at the end of
Mm.
the day, the Western palate is very sensitive, and we wanted to make sure that we are a beverage product that people enjoy or drink and don't complain, right?
Mm.
So that's what kind of led us on. We partnered up with our manufacturing partner, and I think we iterated on the taste. And our first version was super herbally, smelled horrible, but now I think we're pretty proud to say that we eliminated the herbal smell. Maybe there's a
Mm.
small amount of herbal tasteness, but for the most part, it tastes like lemon and slash apple taste, and it's very flavorful. But yeah, it took us a little while, but but that's kind of, I would say, what we looked for when we were trying to find our formula or our manufacturing partner.
And what challenges did you face in those early days, and how did you push through those challenges?
I'd say in the very early days, the challenges that we faced were when the idea started turning into more of a reality. I think it was
Mm.
just balancing between our corporate jobs and actually pushing the kind of the opportunity.
And it was during COVID too.
And I
Mm.
remember our father was basically, I think we were 3 months in since that conversation that my brother had. We had samples and whatnot. And, when you're working a corporate job and you're also uh, kind of have a personal life and everything like that, it's tough to balance also a startup. And I
Mm.
remember there was a point where our father was like, we're moving too slow. Like, if you guys actually want to do this, you guys got to be figuring this out every single day. So I think that was kind of a good wake up moment. And that's when we started really pushing and everything. Other challenges we faced once we left our corporate jobs and started working on this full time was that even though me and my brother are very similar, might look the same outside of work too, uh, um, we have very, very different working styles. I am very micro. I'm very micro compared to my brother. My brother is more, he's very macro. He's doesn't really care about how much XYZ costs or whatnot. It's more about his vision and his story that he wants to kind of steer the ship towards. And for me, I'm more of a realist when it comes to that. So I'm like, this is something we can do and this is something we can't do. So I think we
Mm.
had a little bit of struggles in the early days when it came to kind of understanding what we were going to do and what we can and can't do. I think that's where a lot of the stuff's where we had conflicts, but over time, we started learning each other's kind of working styles and everything like that, and now it's pretty seamless. After like the first couple of months, it was pretty seamless to the point that me and my brother didn't have to talk, and we can kind of see exactly, oh, this email belongs to Justin or this email belongs to Ray. And we didn't even have to
Mm.
ask each other who's responding to what, right? It's just kind of second nature now. And I think that's kind of why we were able to scale this company so quickly is that, when you grow up with your co-founder for your whole entire life, you kind of know everything about them and you kind of understand, all right, well, this is your stuff and whatnot. And another thing would be probably just the trust aspect. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories of other co-founders falling out and whatnot just because of trust or, things where someone wanted to get a little bit more piece of the pie compared to others without the other person knowing and whatnot. And it's just, and at that time too, when we launched the company, we lived together, we worked out together, right? And then we also started the company, we worked out together. So it's like, I'm seeing this guy 24/7. So it's like the amount of conversations we have about our business at any given moment, it was like 24/7 around the clock, right? It wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
even when we're relaxing at home, we're still talking about the business. So I think that really accelerated our growth because if you're talking
Mm.
about it 24/7 with your other co-founder and you guys are with each other 24/7, there's only so many more conversations that are going to be done during that time and more ideas that pop up. And I think that's what helped our growth, to be honest, is the fact that we were doing everything together like we were joined at the hip.
And
Mm.
kind of going off of that too is obviously when we run in like an international cross-border company, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
manufactured in South Korea and we distribute out here in our headquarters in Los Angeles, right? So as first time founders, especially e-commerce, which we have no experience in at that time, I think we were very fortunate to having our father's guidance too, where he's been doing his jelly company and clothing too, all international. I know that's where we got quickly up to speed on the learning curve when it came to customs, right? We didn't have to. We got all the kind of lingo down of when it lands here, how the containers work, you name it, and that was kind of virgin territory for me and my brother. So having that kind of guidance and kind of definitely expedited the learning curve and the process there, where we didn't have to kind of worry too much about that. But we got professional guidance, and our father has 30 plus years of international experience there, so that definitely helped us out. And then yeah, and then our in the beginning, all right, obviously we had to learn each other's working styles because it's the first time doing real business together. But I think that's where we decided to or we learned a lot about each other and how that we are different, and it's okay to challenge each other. It's okay not to always agree, right? And be a little different perspectives. And that's, I think, how we're able to continually communicate, iterate, and get better and better and better, and keep pivoting in the right direction. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what were some of like your biggest doubts or fears when you were starting out or just like growing the business?
I would say my initial fear or doubts was that I knew that we had a really strong formula, but was
Mm-hmm.
how to address that to the rest of the US, you know? Um, it's not like we're a soda brand or a water brand. It's it was a category that was still very niche and new to the market, especially in the US market. So I think that was kind of one of the main worry points for me was the fact that, okay, we know that this product is really good. We know it works well, but how are we going to let other people know, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that was kind of what was a little scary in the beginning, but me and my brother have a kind of very strong work ethic, and I think it has to do with our experiences playing baseball and the amount of work we had to put into baseball every single day,
Mm-hmm.
nonstop. I think that translated into our business lifestyle too, because there were times that me and my brother were not sleeping and trying to figure out XYZ, right? And I think for a lot of people, it might be kind of like, wow, like, oh, you guys are working 18 hours straight, 24 hours straight. But at the same time, for us, it was just kind of like, this is what we have to do to get the job
Mm-hmm.
done, right? So for us, I think that's kind of what got us to where we're at today, too, is that we know we're not the smartest people in the room, right? But we probably work two, three times harder than the average person. And that's something that, you know, it could be on the weekends. It could be right before you were going to bed. We're still always checking up emails, responding to emails and whatnot. I think just that quickness that we have with each other is kind of what helped us kind of get to where we're at today.
You guys secured some major funding from investors like Jack Harlow and Myles Turner. What did that process look like? How did you pitch them the project, and what were some lessons you learned from working with such like high profile investors?
Great question. We get this question a lot. Whether it's celebrities, we have a bunch of founders, athletes, influencers, you name it, on the cap table as well. And for us, a lot of it, there's not one situation is the same, right? Everything's different. And some investors took, let's say, at least 6 months, whereas other one took one phone call, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think with the high profile names, I know when we started talking to XYZ celebrity or investor, someone with a bigger influential reach publicly, is
Mm-hmm.
we told each other that, we're not going to live or die by one specific influencer, celebrity, or athlete. We
Mm-hmm.
want you to believe in us first and foremost. And then after that, we can talk about other partnership deals with you. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how when we're talking to all these folks, it's more of an art, I would say. And when everybody knows fundraising is an art, but a little bit more because there's a lot of people in between when it comes to a lot of celebrities, right? Their manager or their other business manager or their financial guy or their team. So
Mm-hmm.
kind of going through those hoops and ropes and gaining everyone's trust was something that we had to go through, we experienced, and we still are experiencing, and it's great. But yeah, it's not for the kind of faint-hearted. Let's just put it at that.
Yeah. And what did that specific process look like if you can mention it for like Jack Harlow, let's say?
For Jack Harlow, I would say we wanted a kind of public music hip hop person with our company, and this is back when we were still an herbal hangover drink.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of named out five big hip hop artists in our mind that we would want, and one of them was Jack. And one of our investors actually is a good friend of ours, was like, hey, actually, I'm really close with their managers, and maybe I can at least present this to them and see what happens. After the manager liked it, then it got eventually into, he introduced us to his parents, his dad specifically. He really liked it. They introduced us to to Jack's mom, and they both liked it. Then they all huddled together, and they decided to finally make the decision to participate and invest in our round in our company. And then at the last hour, his grandpa actually came in too, so we got the whole fam. So it wasn't there's no specific process, right? That took us months in the making, but I think both sides were patient, and we both got to know each other, and we're really close with his family as well. Whenever we go to Kentucky as well, and we got a lot of great folks within his network as well to kind of come into our company. So yeah, that's something that was very, I would say it was a little different, but it was really cool. We enjoy it, and we even got to meet Jack too. So that was really cool in Kentucky as well.
Nice. And looking back, is there anything you would have done differently when launching the plug at the very start?
The only thing I would done differently launching the product would be quitting my corporate job sooner. I think that probably, because it took us about 6 months since it went live for us to kind of make that decision to quit. I think if we did it right off the bat, I think we would be even bigger right now, because we would be 6 months more ahead. But yeah, that would be the only decision that I would change in terms of starting the company.
And I would say for me, it would be if we focused or had a little bit more experience on kind of paid growth marketing on the D2C side or the digital side. We're not e-com marketers by background, but if we had that extra knowledge, I think, again, like my brother said, we would have scaled a little bit faster and might be a little bigger. But I think don't regret anything when it comes to that, in the sense that we still did our part to kind of get quickly up to speed on the learning curve. And now looking back, obviously we launched as a hangover drink, and then we pivoted to liver health. I think that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs should be open to, is pivoting. And I know when we first started off, I specifically, even more than Justin, did not want to change anything. I had a vision. I was like, we're going to do this, this, this. And then eventually things kind of started changing a little bit, and we take that leap of faith with some data behind it. And now we're at where we're at. And so I think, yes, if we had a little bit more expertise in the growth marketing front, I think that would have helped out. But that's kind of it, besides what Justin said.
And now as we go on to the third part of the podcast, where we talk about each of your current careers, as the CEO and COO, what do each of you guys focus on in your day-to-day roles?
So myself as a COO, I do 1,000 little things every single day. So I handle all the daily operations, which is like our team management, making sure all of our e-commerce orders are fulfilled, since we fulfill it in the warehouse, tracking the inventory status from both our manufacturer in South Korea to here in the US, help push out the retail expansion into stores as well. And the most important thing is I control the budget here at the company. So yeah, I do 1,000 little things. And I think one of the things that me and my brother are really good at is that it's always, whenever we're in, let's say, a text message or an email chain, it's always me, my brother, and one other person. So we always have two eyes on it. And most times it's only one of us responding back to that person, right? But the main things that I would say helps us kind of, one of our strongest skill sets are follow-up skills. And one of the main reasons is because if one person messages us back, the other might not have seen it, but then the other person would have seen it. And then they tell them, hey, you still got to respond back to this person or whatnot. So I would say that. And yeah, that's kind of one of the things that I do here at the Plug Drink every single day, is we have a funny saying that my brother likes to say a lot, where it's uh, I keep the ship afloat every day, and my brother steers it. So, and then my brother can give what he does.
Yeah, so what Justin said was spot on in terms of, I mean, even if I want to take the team out for lunch, I got to get approved by this guy, and sometimes he gives me a tough time. But yeah, no, I think for me it's a little different, right? And I'm more big picture macro, marketing, more kind of. We have a saying in our company, nothing's impossible, right? We
Mm-hmm.
kind of come up with the vision, and then Justin's really good at refining it with me. I think I'm really good at coming up with them,
Mm-hmm.
and just making it happen. We're working on a deal right now with a really big nutrition company that we're going to offer to our subscribers and customers, where it connects the actual customer to a registered dietitian or a nutritionist. And that's
Mm-hmm.
something that we'll be announcing in the next month or so. So that's something that came out of our head and here in the bullpen, as we like to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to look into our network, got in touch with the founder, and then next thing you know, we just got a greenlit today. So things are kind of and they got a greenlit on their side. So it's pretty fun when it comes to that side, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
making something out of nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then but yes, I don't do 1,000 tasks like my brother does. I definitely need to kind of get to his level, but sometimes I think my brother's like an AI robot, and now I know AI is like a topic, right? I think if he sends like 1,000 emails a day, I probably send like 200. But I've never seen anybody work as fast as my brother does, and it's a really good trait. I'm very fortunate to have him as my business partner. And then from my end, it's more marketing focused. Every ad you see, content, copy, angle, I rip it all up. I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the brand voice in the brand, right? When it comes to the marketing side. And then also making our, on the front facing external side, look good when it's like partnerships, right? Or where we should be at, or where we should focus on, or strategy wise. And then last but not least is obviously fundraising. And I'm more an
Mm-hmm.
equity guy, but my brother's more the debt guy. So that's why it's kind of we have this yin and yang combo. I mean, we didn't even plan this out, but he's wearing white and I'm wearing black, so we kind of get it. So no pun intended, but yeah. So that's kind of where I think we make a really, really good, formidable team right here. But at the same time, we have our father's expertise kind of guiding
Mm-hmm.
over us in case we're actually steering the wrong way, right?
Mm-hmm.
With his experience. But yeah.
Yeah, and the plug is already in many stores, but what's your strategy for expanding the brand even further?
Yeah, so I would say in terms of kind of expanding it further on the retail side, at least, we do eventually want to go international, which
Mm-hmm.
actually we actually have three really big deals right now. We just got a greenlit deal for South Korea as well as potentially Australia. And then
Mm-hmm.
in terms of kind of the US market right now, we're also in talks with a big company to get it into. I'm talking about over like 100,000 convenience stores type play.
Wow.
So
Mm-hmm.
for us, and those are all things that, it's not just like happens overnight. It's years of following up, years of kind of staying relevant and whatnot. And it, it's it is a grind, but at the same time, you know, we've been in this business for over 5 years now, and kind of seeing how people are saying there's more yeses now than nos.
Mm-hmm.
In the early days, it was really tough because, you know, I remember me and my brother were trying to get some distributors for a product, and they would all say, "No, you're too small. Come back after you're at 500 stores or 200 stores in
Mm-hmm.
this area and whatnot." So I remember it was during COVID. Me and my brother put on our masks and went door to door and um, started out on our first store. Our first store, first sale was me and my brother going into the.
We didn't know what we were doing either. We just was like, let's get it into the store. Let's try to do like a. We didn't know the terms like consignment or kind of like getting it, purchasing it first, right? Or free fills or stuff like that. So we were just kind of winging it, and it was literally in the heart of COVID too. And yeah, those are good experiences because now we're in what roughly over 2,000 stores in just in SoCal alone. and 4,000 nationwide. But yeah.
Yeah, that and that. Um, in terms of expansion, we're very big about, obviously, all our product right now is all about liver health. So
Mm.
we had the drink it's been our hero product since day one. And 2 years ago we launched the drink and pill format. So we want to be a household name to liver health, and we want to kind of scale through different formats of ingestion. So drink, pills, we're looking into powder format, as well as gummy format and concentrates and whatnot. So that's how we want to kind of expand, and then eventually, what my brother likes to call it, the non-sexy organs. We want to kind of expand into other kind of organs like
Kidney,
kidney.
pancreas,
Yep.
gallbladder, all the ancillary ones that all are interconnected and related to the liver, and just your overall internal body performance.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all about optimizing your body,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's what drives us every single day too.
Yeah. And what do you think has been the biggest win for your company so far?
Good question.
I wouldn't say there's like one specific things. We There's different things that happen every month, I would
Yeah.
say, that we're very proud and fortunate for. Um, I would say one of the I would say one of the bigger wins right now is getting our product potentially into South Korea. We kind
Mm-hmm.
of got that greenlit kind of confirmation today, actually. So
Well, congrats.
that was something that, I mean, it's a new market for us, right? So it's our first outside of the US kind of international play that we're doing. And it is interesting because that was our ultimate goal, is to get into other markets, other countries and whatnot, and seeing our father get his product into all these other countries. I think that's kind of where you kind of see, okay, your brand's kind of going somewhere now, right?
Mm.
It's not
Yeah.
just a small brand in the US, it's like other countries want your brand, right? And so I
Mm.
think that has been kind of a really good moment for us personally, because it's kind of what we put our blood, sweat, and tears in for the last 5 years, is to have other people see our brand's value and want to bring it to another country, is something that we're very proud of.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think for me, going off of that too, would just be when we kind of made that leap of faith of pivoting our whole company and brand's identity from anti-hangover drinks to liver health. I think that changed the whole trajectory for our whole company in a good way. And that wasn't easy to do because I know me and Justin, even more for me, but we're so bent, like kind of focused on anti-hangover, like that for 2 years before prior to that. So that was a little tough, but we did take that leap of faith after we kind of thought about it and discussed it numerous different times. And I think looking back, I think that was something that was one of our best decisions we made. And then I
Mm-hmm.
think on the smaller scale too would just be on the day to day receiving testimonials from our customers. Definitely motivates me and my brother and our whole team, and it keeps us humble too to kind of come back and work hard every single day. And hearing these testimonials from folks that are have liver cancer or cirrhosis, right, or even other ones that let's say utilize us more at the earlier stages and they feel all the benefits and leave a crazy review in a good way. I think that's what really drives us every single day, is because we're actually helping improve people's lives. And then last but not least, I think for all of us would be the different accolades, right? I know, I mean, my brother here, he's Forbes 30 and 30 for food and drink for North America. We have that. We're both Gold House members representing the AAPI community. And that's more of a founder community, right? That we were part of the cohort, and along with just team wins like Inc. 5000. That's something I remember when I first stepped onto Wall Street. I was like, wow, like Inc. 5000. Like we saw these different tombstones of other companies and clients they worked with, and we ended up becoming one of them. So
Mm-hmm.
for us, that was a really huge sentimental moment. And then even last but not least is even just yesterday, actually, we received an award from the South Korean government from the Consulate General, along with the Prime Minister of Industry, Trade, and Energy, of the big commerce award. They award one Korean American company every year. I believe last year was POSCO, the huge shipping company, and this year was us. So very humbling for us that the Korean government recognizes us, along with obviously our U.S. customers and whatnot. But I think all of those combined, it keeps us motivated, keeps us working hard. And I think that's what all of our team members strive for too, is we want to be, we want to conduct ourselves at the highest level, and really kind of continue to keep growing, because we have a lot of fans, supporters, customers, along with investors too, that are part of our company.
Wow, that's amazing. And what's been the toughest lesson you guys learned as founders?
I would say one of the toughest lessons is that you can't control everything. And, it could be the current economic conditions, like the tariffs that are going on, or even
which we're not affected by.
Yeah, or even like, let's say during 2022 and 2023, when a lot of companies went bankrupt, a lot of loan companies were not giving out the amount of loans that they used to give, because they were worried about seeing big banks like Silicon Valley Bank fall and First Republic go down. And so I think not being able to control outside issues has been pretty tough. But, for us, we have like my brother says, anything's possible. So we always figure it out. We have a pretty good saying that we always say, is that we just got to keep digging and figuring it out. And I think that's one of our mottos, and we still do it to this day, right? People think, oh, you guys are 5 years in, you guys must be chilling, relaxing. It's like we're probably 4 times busier than when we first launched the company, and we're still grinding 10 times harder than what we did, because we see all the growth, we see all these customers reaching out to us with positive reviews and everything. And for us, it's like we're never satisfied. We want to keep going. So I think what's kind of funniest thing is that everyone's like, oh, you have all these accolades, right? Making Inc. 5,000 fastest private companies, and then making Inc. regionals 2 years in a row and whatnot. And for us, it's like we've never even had a celebration about it, right? It's not like we went to a celebratory dinner or whatnot. It was just like, all right, that's one thing done. What's next? What else do we have to do? Because like my brother always says, we're just never satisfied. We're always trying to keep going. And then the other thing that's been tough is that I would say, as a CPG company, it requires a lot of monetary spend to survive in CPG. We've only raised $4 million since we launched, which is very minimal compared to what other people of our size and kind of length of business have raised. And a lot of people will rather throw at industries that they know more, right? Like water, sparkling water, coffee, teas. But when you go to any American and say, hey, what's your favorite liver health supplement? It's not like a thing, right? But if you can go up to any American and say, what's your favorite energy drink or soda or sparkling water, there's a brand that comes into their mind. So just being in more of a niche industry, some people get it, some people don't. And I think over the years, we've been seeing more and more people are getting it. They're understanding that 1 in 3 Americans have fatty liver in the US right now, and it's a silent growing epidemic. And I think that's what keeps us going every single day. And to be honest, it's those type of investors and supporters and whatnot that we actually would want to partner up with, rather than the ones that, don't really get it. And I think that's what has helped us kind of get to where we're at today.
And then finally, do you guys have like an ultimate vision or goal for the next 10 years of the Plug Drink?
Yeah, I mean, I think just simply said is we want to be a global brand. So like my brother alluded to earlier, we want to really grow and scale and get our name out there on the obviously consumer healthcare side. really targeting the internal organs. All right. We know we're not a cure by all means, but we want to help educate consumers in general, in America and beyond. So about the power of herbs, right? And a lot of our product right now is, our formula is 13 herbs made from South Korea. And we're, no added sugar, no cholesterol, no fat, no caffeine. We have the highest herbal concentration relative to our peers in North America. And I would say, we want to really grow our brand and improve people's lives, right? We started off consumer, now we're like consumer healthcare. Then eventually down the line, as we get bigger and we scale, we want to incorporate a consumer healthcare tech component, and then obviously some type of AI component within that, so people can still keep iterating and improving their internal and external health, right, on all fronts. And I think we timed it perfectly when it comes to the industry trends. I think all of us here being Korean by background, I think K-beauty, K-pop, K-food is just hitting its stride even more globally, and it's a huge sensation. So I think we are very well positioned when it comes to that, and we're obviously biased because we're all Korean here, and which we're all proud of. And then I think on top of that is the rise of the plant-based movement, the functional food movement, healthy mushroom movement. I think that's helped us, our customer base be open to these non-traditional herbs, which we have a majority of, right? And then last but not least, just the rise of continuing chronic diseases, but also consumers being open to being proactive with their health, right? I mean, you've seen stuff on the news about living longer now, right? And de-aging the process, right? So I think with the flow of information now, with TikTok, social media, and whatnot, I think the flow of information is so much quicker that we're able to digest it quicker, even at different stages of our careers and lives, and really take that extra step. And there's more resources available to be productive, right? Or proactive instead of waiting to get diagnosed and treated, and be another statistic. So, yeah.
And now as we move on to the fourth part of the podcast, talking about challenges and overcoming obstacles with your Asian American background, my first question is that I read a lot about your Korean backgrounds and frequent visits to Korea and how visiting Korea played a critical role in creating the plug. How important is it for you to keep your Korean culture in mind during your work?
I would say for us, we are very proud to be Korean and American. I would say that's probably the main reason why our father wanted us to do this business out of all the businesses that we pitched him, because our manufacturer is based in South Korea. Our product is kind of what we are, right? So it's made in South Korea, but it's an American brand, right? So that's kind of what we are. We're Korean ethnically, but we grew up here in America. So I think that kind of shows who we are. It's very similar. It's, to be honest, we might be Korean and whatnot, but we're very whitewashed. So if you look at our product too, like right here, it looks very Americanized, right? And I think that's one of the main reasons why it fits really well with us, right? Is that we get the Korean angle and we get the American angle. What we like to call ourselves is like a Twinkie, where we're like yellow on the outside, white on the inside, right? And I think that has to do a lot with how we grew up, but at the same time, we stick with our Korean roots because, our parents still talk to us in Korean. We just respond in English. And I think our roots have always been stuck with us, even to this day. And I think what I've noticed over the years, growing up, it was very, when you talk to your American friends and you bring kimbap for lunch, right? Growing up for us, when we brought that for lunch, everyone would be like, ew, what is that, right? Now it's sold out in Trader Joe's, right? It's like impossible to find because they go viral on TikTok. So I think it's kind of interesting to see the kind of growth of the Asian growth over time, because when I was growing up, it's completely different than what it is today. Like there's so many K-pop fans, there's so many I would say like Squid Game fans and whatnot, Korean barbecue, whatnot as well. And I remember back when we were growing up, it wasn't a thing, right?
Mm.
There was only a handful of KBBQ restaurants or Korean restaurants here in Los Angeles too, and everything was a lot smaller and everything like that. And now it's everywhere. Now it's like I have friends messaging me saying, "You want to get KBBQ?" And I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to actually and whatnot. So it's kind of funny to see that switch. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. And then, what role has your cultural background played in shaping your leadership style and perspective as a business leader too? And how have you found ways to use it as a strength in your career?
For us, the first thing I'll say before that is, failure is not an option, right?
Mm.
Uh, and I know that's very Korean or Asian to say that, but it's just striving for excellence and really figuring it out every single day. And we're very results oriented and driven here. And then I think obviously when it comes to the fundraiser, what Justin was alluding to is that the last 2 years for the CPG fundraising has probably been the worst in probably 15, 20 years. And it's not just coming from us; it's coming from investors in the CPG world that have been investing for 20, 30 years, for even themselves, right? So it would just happen to be we were kind of about to hit our growth right there, where instead of kind of not doing anything and sulking about it or trying to like just pout about it or get depressed. For us, we started thinking outside the box very creatively, and we started looking into Korea and to Asia for looking for investors that would believe in us. And that's how we got our two VC funds in Korea that have already invested into us, and we're in talks with numerous others, and we did previously as well, along with now on the state side too. So I think that is something that we've definitely experienced, and it actually made us stronger, right? I think that's
Mm.
what for us. I think, like I said, failure is not an option. Like we don't take no for an answer too.
Mhm.
We're problem solvers here at our company. We love to think critically outside the box and always ask questions: how, why, and like my brother said earlier, we understand we're not the smartest guys in the room, and we understand that it takes a village to build a brand. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And as we finally move on to the last part of the podcast about advice and inspiration, I was just wondering, what's one piece of advice you wish you had when you were first starting the plug?
I would say one piece of advice I wish I had when I was starting the plug drink was kind of, I would say, that everyone's human, so you can't just rely on if someone says that they're gonna do something, and let's say it could be like a specific thing where it's like you have a trial run on something. You can't trust everyone's word. So,
Mm.
there's been instances where we were on a free trial, but then we got charged, right? And so it's
Mm.
like you gotta realize that humans make mistakes, and even if they said XYZ, it can also not happen, right? So I think me being micro has really helped out because I've caught a lot of mistakes, whether it was from vendors or my own team or myself and whatnot. And just understanding that humans make mistakes and being able to just pivot from it and whatnot and catch those mistakes. Um, I would say that's one thing. And then just understanding that creating a business means you're basically gonna get married into that business. It's like basically your baby, your child, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife. It's your everything. And if you need it to keep going and survive, like that's all you can give your energy and focus to. It's really tough juggling anything else,
Mm.
especially when you're in like a high growth startup like ours where it's just kind of like every day revolves around this company and everything you do revolves around this company. I think that was another thing because, I think a lot of people have this false perception that founders just become an overnight success over time like that, but they don't realize the 24/7 grind that they had to put in for 5, 10 years. And then on the 10th year, it became something, right?
Mm.
And I think that's where a lot of people don't understand that some people give up right at that ninth year, right before you're about to hit that jackpot. and they don't see it ever, right? And others, they keep going and they hit that 10th year, and it's like all their hard work and success starts showing out, right? So I think that's one of the things that a lot of people have a false perception, is that they don't understand how actually tough and grueling it is to be a founder. A lot of people say, I want to be a founder or I want to be an entrepreneur. They think, oh, entrepreneurs live a cushy lifestyle. They're their own boss. They have a team that's going to work for them and everything like that. No, to be honest, I'm still working 3 times harder than my whole team. Why? Because you got to lead by example. And on top of that, it's if you're not doing it, what makes it that a team member or an employee is going to do better, right? It's up to you to kind of steer and make sure everything goes XYZ, and then you can teach your team to do things like that and everything like that. But if you yourself don't know how to do XYZ, then you're just kind of the face of it, but you actually don't have any technical skills behind it, right? So I would say that. And then just understanding that what you learn in one day of entrepreneurship is like kind of like, I don't know, like a month worth of a corporate job. Like it's just like we have fires left and right, right? It's like random things that happen every day. You wake up and it's a different thing that you have to figure out and problem solve. So just going through that, I would say.
Well, yeah, mine's a little shorter, but I would say, trusting your gut no matter what. A lot of people are going to pull you in different directions, whether it's strategy or whether it's, your brain should look like this or whatnot. I mean, I have still on my desk a photo when we were doing a lot of drop-offs and we were launching as motivation, where some random person, we dropped it off at another sampling, was like, the name of your brand or your company is going to curtail its success. So I actually printed it out and I actually got a frame. So it's framed on my desk for the last 6 years. And I think trusting your gut, and then that everything's negotiable. And I think a lot of founders that are first-time founders have this perception of, okay, if it's this price or whatnot, then that's what it is. For me and my brother's the best negotiator I've ever met. So I learned a lot from him too, where, we go in and, we negotiate deals left and right because we have a set budget, and, they're obviously trying to win us as a client. Let's say I'm talking about a vendor, but, we can't just overspend. So that's one thing that I don't think they really teach you as a first-time founder. You kind of learn on the job, and if you don't understand how to negotiate, I think that's a huge disadvantage. So I think having that has definitely cut our costs and helped us survive and grow at the pace and scale that we want to grow. But yeah.
And mentorship can play a huge role in one's success. Did you guys have any key mentors or role models during this process? And if so, what was some of the advice that they gave to you that really helped?
Yeah, I would say we have a lot of mentors. Me and my brother, we always have this saying that we're not the smartest guy in the room, right? And in the early days when you're not really doing sales, you have a little bit more free time when you're trying to grow the company and everything like that. So what me and my brother did was, instead of sitting around, we started connecting with people that were a lot bigger in CPG, right? With the founders and whatnot. And we started jumping on the phone with them every single day, different founders every single day. And the main reason why was because we wanted to learn as much as possible. And so we kept jumping on the phone. It was like 10, 12 founder phone calls every single day, just trying to learn as much as possible, learning from their past experiences, what they did and what worked for them, what didn't work. And I do remember one of our investors, he actually runs a company called Glamnetics Eyelashes, and they do really well, Kevin Gold. And one of the, I remember this was very early on, and I remember jumping on the phone with him and my brother. And one of the things that he told us was, he was like, if you guys are doing online and e-commerce, you guys got to be obsessed with your ads, so detailed to the point that you guys need to know where every period goes and everything like that. And he was like, you need to be obsessed with it because the copy of the ad is everything, because you're pouring money into that ad. So don't I would say, don't give it your 50%, give it your 200% every time you look at your ad copies and see exactly how you want it revised and whatnot. So that stuck with us since day one, to be honest. And my brother to this day is still very, no ad is approved until my brother goes through it all. And he gives a lot of markups and comments on every single ad.
Yeah, I think our team members can probably agree with Justin on that. I think the attention to detail is very important. It also, it's the same thing just in life in general, right? Kind of how you want to be portrayed or whatnot. And if you look at a lot of these successful founders, they are very attention to detail. And that's very, very important because that at the end of the day, you represent your own brand, right? And you want your customers to view your brand just how you view it, as obviously the best, right? So that's something that that's why whenever we show our bottle to someone or whatnot, we're very proud because we know that it took us a lot of time and effort, along with a lot of our supporters and team members, to kind of pour in time, energy, sweat equity, whatever you want to call it, to make our brand where it's at today, right? And I would say that's something that attention to detail, kind of going the extra mile, and just really having a no giving up attitude, right? We don't like quitters here. We have that mentality. I think maybe it's how we were trained through baseball or whatnot. But we like to kind of live by this one motto, rule number 76, play like a champion. No excuses, play like a champion. So that's kind of how we operate too, day to day.
Well, thank you guys both so much for being on the AAIM High podcast. It was really great talking to you. Lots of great pieces of advice, and love learning about the journey of the plug.
Awesome. No, thanks again, Ben.
Thanks for having us, Ben.
You're crushing it. And hopefully, some other kind of aspiring entrepreneurs, especially, whether they're Asian or not, can kind of take something out of this.
Well, thanks so much.